Hi guys, it's Kayla from Kayla Lovejoy Equine Art, and I actually had someone ask me how I remove my manes and tails from my model horses recently, so I thought I would do a short little video. So today I have a couple models here. I've got this little guy, and he's going to be a perfect example because he's got a flat mane and tail up against his neck. So I can show how I remove that when it's flat against the neck. And I've got this little guy here whose mane is flowing, and I can show you how I remove that as well. So for the mane that's flowing, this is probably the easiest one to do. All you're going to need is a basic coping saw, which I have here. And you can also use a Dremel with like a cutoff bit or like a cutoff wheel as well, but this is kind of what I prefer. And you're just going to want to hold it really steady. So I kind of prop my stablemate on the table here while holding, and I just begin to cut away. So I'm trying to follow the contour of the horse's neck here. This takes a little while. Okay, and as you can see, that mane is now removed. There is a little bit of a raised edge here, and so I'll show you how to clean that off and make that smoother. That way you can sculpt on a perfect new mane. Now I have my Dremel tool here, and this is a battery-powered Dremel 8100. I really like this. It's a good tool to have. And in it, I've got this little kind of engraving bit, I guess you could call it. I did have a nicer one, but it broke. So I'm just going to use this to kind of go lightly along the edges. And this will help me get rid of any thick chunks of plastic, like this right here. And this takes some time getting used to this tool. You really have to go really gentle with your pressure. Okay. And I'll clean up this side. Okay, so there we go. He now has a removed mane, and you're going to see some roughness here. You're going to want to go over this with sandpaper. I would start with a heavier grit, like a 150 grit, just to really get everything smooth and rounded over. And then after that, you're going to want to work your way up. I'll see if I have some sandpaper. I don't, so I'll do that in a minute. Let's check out this guy here. So for this guy, I would actually, since his mane is flat against his neck, I would take out my bit. And I'm actually going to use just a little sanding drum. So here's the little sanding drum. Tighten that in. And this should work great for smoothing this out. There we go. So his mane is now all removed. A little bit of sanding might be good, but really you could just sculpt right over this. So having it as rough as it is will give the clay a little bit of tooth so that the clay has something to kind of grab onto and solidify to a little better. So I might actually just leave it the way it is and just start sculpting a new mane right over that. Now, if you're going to resculpt the mane, I recommend resculpting the tail as well. I think I've talked about this before. I think that everyone has their own style, and you want your style mane to match the style of the tail that's on the model. Now, I'm just going to cut away this tail with a coping saw. Maybe. Okay, so I think I cut through this part here. There we go. And then I'm going to cut into this. Okay, I think we're getting there. Usually I try not to struggle completely all the way through this, and sometimes I'll just break off the tail if it's close enough. So with a little twist, that came right off. And then now I'll go in again and I'll try and clean this up a little bit. Okay, that's looking pretty good. He's going to get a little resculpting there on his hind end once I put his new tail in. So let's get ready to get started on a new tail. Okay, let's get started on the tail. For this, I have an adjustable drill chuck in here. This is special. You'll have to buy this separate for your Dremel. And I've got my 5/64 drill bit. I also have a piece of 16 gauge wire. So this is going to be the perfect size to go in for a tail. Now you want to keep your model nice and steady and try and drill a hole for your tail. Okay, I gotta crank up the thing. Alright, now that that is done, you're going to need some super glue. So I have a little bit of super glue here. I'm just going to put a little bit here. So I covered the hole with super glue. And that's going to help when my wire sticks in, it's going to push that super glue in. There we go. And as you can see, this is really long, so I'll cut it to an approximate length. Oh, that should be good. Okay, so obviously the tail wire is still a little too long. There we go. Now he is ready to get a new tail, pretty much. For the neck, to help it out a little bit, I've got some 150 grit sandpaper here. And I usually just rip off a small piece. Again, this is 150 grit. I'm going to use this to sand his neck. And when I'm done with the 150 grit, I go in with a much finer grit. Something like 320 is usually a pretty good fine grit sandpaper to get rid of any imperfections in the plastic. Alright, there we go. So this little guy is all set and ready to have a new sculpted mane and a new sculpted tail. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope it was helpful. And in my next video, I'll try and show you exactly how I resculpt the mane and tail. Thanks for watching. Bye.